I guess we'll get started.
Ooh, this is scary.
What, George?
This is scary. With different hosts, I don't know what to do.
I think I've done it twice now. So every time I hate it, but I was joking. I told Gary I'd lead this up, and I didn't know he was taking me seriously. So I'm like, okay.
I will quickly hand over the keys to anybody who wants them.
But it'll be fine. I don't know. I got to remember the intro real quick. Hold on.
Oh, boy.
Shoot. Gary, I'm all off.
Would you like me to do the intro part, and then you could just take over from there?
I could do the intro. All right, I'm starting. Hey, Toy Family. Welcome. Oh, God, that was so bad.
So we should definitely use that for the intro.
Oh, yes, for sure.
I've got Bailey here. You don't understand how terrible. Like, I'm trying so hard. Okay. I don't want to do the intro, Gary. Will you do the intro?
Hey, Toy Family. Welcome to the Marsham Toy Hour, where we discuss anything and everything designer toys. I'm Gary Ham.
I'm Theresa Hawkins.
I'm George Gaspar.
Your show, Theresa.
I know. Thank you for doing the intro. Well, our listeners don't realize that it's been a bit of an eventful evening for me right up before this record, because I had a transformer blow down the street. So I'm sitting here under candle and flashlight, recording off my cell phone power.
Like I said, if anything is ever going to happen to you that week, it's going to happen an hour before record. It's guaranteed.
Yep. And I know you had like a unplanned event like right up before this, so you were dashing home, and then we were even trying to schedule guests, and it was going all over the place. So no, this week has been kind of crazy.
Mine was probably worse. It was mandatory happy hour at work.
But you realize most people probably love that, Gary. Free drinks on the house from
maybe
your employer?
Mandatory, though?
Not necessarily mandatory, but maybe highly suggested and implied.
Oh, that sucks.
And, it wasn't that bad. It was actually during work hours. It wasn't an after-hours sort of thing. So it was like 4:30 to 6. The last hour and a half of the day, we all went to the local restaurant pub. And it was more of meant to be like a team building, get to know and mingle with the other departments. And my boss was actually going. And he avoids these social events like the plague. It's something that he never wants to be at. So he said he was going to be there. So it kind of made the rest of us feel like, oh, maybe we should, put forth the effort to arrive too. And the thing for me is I knew it was going to be a record night. So I knew I wasn't going to be staying late. Therefore, I'm not going to want to be drinking with everyone. And anytime I never drink at one of these happy hour events, there's always someone there who has to bust my balls about not having alcoholic beverage. And in this case, it was no different. I ordered a Sprite, and one or two people were harassing me about not having an alcoholic beverage. But on top of that, I was also the first person to leave, and that's always a little awkward.
Hey, I'm proud of you for that, because I know we're the kind of people who don't like to be that first person, and we kind of wait for someone else to go, and we're like, oh, yeah, I got to go too.
I picked by a good moment, though. I made a good exit, but I'd much rather ride off of someone else's coattails, for sure.
But, George, maybe you've been the one with the good week. It doesn't sound like you've been having anything crazy going on.
Sure. I don't know. I don't remember. I was just sculpting.
George just doing George. Well, let's go ahead and introduce our guest. I'll keep the intro short and sweet. We've actually got someone returning to the show this week. She actually joined us for a collector's episode last season. And when we talked to her before, we thought it'd be fun to get her back on at some point and chat again. So our guest today is Katherine Park. Welcome back, Kat.
Thanks. Good to be back.
Yay! Kat's back.
Yay!
And my first time with you, so welcome.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah, George, now you can hear our enthusiasm over cute things.
Well, I was listening back to that episode since I wasn't here and I missed it. You guys have a lot of stuff about cute in it, let me tell you that. I'm excited to see if Theresa's still the same after like a year, if she's still as bubbly as she was in the beginning.
That reminds me, I got to keep my cute count tally going.
Oh, I know. Well, it's funny. I tried, so we were talking about that episode, Kat, and I was like, oh, I'll try to listen to it too, and I put it on, and oh my gosh, it's so awkward going back and re-listening to old episodes. It's just weird. Like, I hear differences in how I talk, and I don't know. It's just weird. I don't know how you feel about it, Gary, but
I have to hear you talk every week, and yeah, I don't like it. It's not fun, but I do it.
Wow.
Thanks, Gary. All worry, I'm not pulling him into the conversation anymore. But yeah, so how have you been, Kat? I think last time we were on, I know we talked about how you travel all the time and all sorts of stuff. You still doing working for Google and traveling and all that good stuff?
Yeah, I mean, all that's the same. I don't know if much has changed really, other than I'm guessing probably since the last time I talked to you, my taste in toys might have changed. I'm not sure.
Okay, well, we can start there because that was actually one of the things I was going to ask you, because I know when you were on last, we talked a lot about how you were really into customs and stuff that was touched by an artist. Is that still something you're focused on?
It is, definitely so. I think the mediums of how they are have probably changed. So I really got into Sofubi over the last year and a half. And so nowadays when I'm collecting customs, I'm actually trying to collect custom Sofubi, which is actually much harder than other platforms. For example, like, and I know you love her too, Kanatsu, right? Like she likes to customize a lot of her cats, but those are really hard to get.
How are you able to do that, actually? Because I have been following her for the longest time, and I know My Plastic Heart will have a show sometimes in the States, but other than that, most of her custom shows are overseas. And it seems like if you weren't there or have someone there, it's just impossible to get them.
Yeah, so what I've been doing instead is, so I have found that for some shows, she doesn't sell out of all her custom pieces right on the first or second night. And so there's like a very small handful left. And so what I usually do is I go to look at the sites, or I email the galleries sort of right away to just sort of see like what they have left. And that's kind of where I've been lucky. Otherwise, I have to buy them on the flipper market, which makes me really sad.
Oh, man. See, I know how much they cost retail. These are not cheap pieces. These are custom. So
yeah,
I can't imagine what the flipper prices are.
Yeah, some of them are really ridiculous. Like, sometimes you'll have like a piece that's maybe like 175, let's say, US dollars, right? And then the flippers will charge $4.99 on eBay. So obviously those I don't go for. I have my own limits in terms of what I'm willing to pay for things. But generally, if I can find it somewhat close to the retail price or just a slight bit over, I'm usually kind of okay with it. And sometimes what I do is I'll sell off the like non-customed Nagora cats, for instance, because it makes me feel a little bit better that I like sort of swap the pieces instead of just adding more pieces.
No, I totally get that. So when you email the galleries, are you emailing in English and they're pretty receptive? Like, so if you say, hey, is this piece still available? They're pretty open to replying and selling it?
Yeah, generally. I mean, sometimes they don't reply at all, in which case then I just say, okay, fine. But if they do reply, generally the English is pretty good and generally things work out. So that's kind of nice. But yeah, I mean, obviously nothing is as good as going in person. But then have you seen the photos that some of these galleries post? Like I was thinking of Paradise and Angel Abbey. Sometimes they post the pre-show photos of people waiting out in the queue, and it's 50 people, and they've clearly been out there for a really long time.
Yeah, I have definitely seen that. I follow Angel Abbey. I don't know about Paradise Toys, but the queues for all these shows always look crazy to me.
Yeah, I just can't deal with it.
Yeah, but it's promising to know that reaching out to galleries has worked. I may have to try that. It's just I'm kind of all over the place, so I would find it hard to be able to spend on customs frequently. But I know that that's more of a focus for you, and I think it's great that you say, hey, I've got this. Now I've got a piece that Kanatsu has painted herself. I don't need the production version of it. I'll go ahead and sell that and just keep the special one.
Yeah. But I will have to say, though, that I think my collecting has slowed down a lot over the last year. I think part of it is there's just too much stuff. And I've sort of reached a breaking point. I think the last time I was on the show, I mentioned how I really didn't want to buy any more shelves or, cabinets or anything like that. And that's still true. I still have the same amount that I had the last time I talked to you all. And so you can imagine that it's not like I stopped collecting. So I've had to be very diligent in pruning.
Pruning, I like that.
Yeah. Well, and I noticed you joined the Waffle Group, and I know that's something that we really stopped talking about on the podcast. So I won't go into too much detail about what it is. It's basically an ability to sell toys through raffles online and some Facebook groups so that people can bid for a spot at a chance to win this thing. And I noticed you joined the group, and it seems like it's been working for you pretty well, because it's been a way for me to help cool down my collection in some cases. So it seems like it's been working for you to help prune.
Yeah. I have to say, though, that unless, like, you have to go in knowing that you can't sell it at, like, a markup. And sometimes I sell things at a loss. And I think it's just because, you know, for me, the space is important. You know, I've enjoyed it for however period of time. So I think of it as like a use cost, even though like I probably could get more on like eBay. But, you know, sometimes it's just more fun to do it that way and be with collectors versus just who knows where it goes on eBay.
Yeah. I think that's the thing with anything when you sell. I mean, some things on our scene hold value, but not everything does. I know that I was actually talking on the last episode. I've got boxes of stuff from my early collecting that I have zero interest in, and I've just been sitting, and I've got blind box dupes and all sorts of stuff, and it'll probably get to a point where I just sell them for cents on the dollar. Like, here, just take this stuff and get it out of my house.
Yeah, actually something that I did once, I probably won't say his name, but there's one artist that I really love who kind of lives nearby. And so I actually had a whole bunch of extra Denny's, and I just sent them to him for like nothing, just for fun, because I know that he makes a lot of customs of them. And so that is also another option too, you know, send it to someone you just really like.
That's a good idea. Gary, if I sent you a bunch of Denny's, would you actually like it?
I still owe Kat one from like 4 years ago.
Yeah,
I know, the KV.
Yeah,
it's right here on my desk. Right here on my desk, Kat. I'll get to it
someday.
Yeah, that's a lie. Gary's got custom cues that are years old. AP's just chilling in a closet. I don't know what you're doing over there.
Hey,
Gary.
I've been ready to sell those APs forever until you told me that you think they need to be special, that I can't just sign and number them. And so now it's like 2 years has gone by. And who's going to buy them? Who's going to buy these things
special,
now?
Though.
Well, but yeah, Kat agrees.
Yeah.
Could I put on some red lipstick and just kiss each one or something?
Yes.
Yeah,
Perfect.
I don't know about that. There might be germs.
No one wants that. No one wants Gary ham cooties.
Theresa, how much of the stuff in that box of garbage you want to sell is all the stuff that you were so excited about on the last time Kat was on the show?
Ooh.
Oh, I'd say very little. This is stuff that's like, it's more like duplicates, George. Like I've bought a case of
boxing.
Yeah. Like I've bought cases of stuff to try to get a full set, but I didn't split it with anyone. So I got duplicates of like more than like half the characters, and I never sold them. It's more that kind of stuff.
Oh, okay.
I can't entirely remember everything. We probably swooned over, Kat, when we talked about a year ago or so. Things obviously ebb and flow, and I'm sure you're the same way, Kat, where like things you liked a year ago, you may not have the same love for now, and there's new things you want, so you're willing to maybe sell some of that stuff you've had.
Yeah,
Bring
totally.
it to Decon and sell it at my booth with me with all the stuff I'm selling like that.
I'm looking forward to George's garage sale at Decon. I'm going to pick up some
so
sweet
interesting
deals.
things.
There's always good deals at my garage sale.
Is that really what you do, George? So you go through your house and find stuff that you no longer want, and that's what's at your booth?
That's what will be there this year, yeah.
Are you also going to have stuff that you make, like your little mini vials, guys?
Yeah. I'm still making stuff for it, but the mass majority of the booth this year will be a pair down because I need more room.
Maybe that's what I need to do. You should.
Or stuff Jess went through and says she no longer wants in the house.
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
possible.
Oh, Theresa, last episode you were talking about how you have a bunch of overstock of these Kuso vinyl toys, 30 of them or something like that, and you offered them up to any listeners who were looking for these things. They could reach out and pick them up from you. And then previously before that, you also said that you're potentially looking for a roommate at DesignerCon. Do you ever hear from any listeners on these offers that you throw out to them?
I actually did. So someone reached out about sharing a room, and so we're planning to share a hotel, which is great. And then, someone actually reached out about the mini cells and bought one. So, woo!
Oh, bought one, not all of them, huh?
No, not all, but one. Hey, I'm happy if someone will want them and enjoy them. happy to sell away. So yeah, it worked.
Host your own custom show.
You know, I could. So I've got. So do you know what those are, Kat? The Kuso vinyl mini cells.
Yes, I have one, and I got it at Comic-Con. It was a Batman one, since I'm a super Batman fan, and I ruined it. Okay, so the paint got so it was I think there were only 3 of them. They were like, customs, and the paint got tacky. And when I was moving, I had wrapped it in bubble wrap, but I had wrapped the bubble part onto the paint and I didn't realize it. So it looks like someone just took bubble wrap or a sponge and just ran it around all the paint.
No.
Yeah, it looks pretty terrible.
That's the problem with customs.
Yes, it is.
Well, I mean, you have a lot of customs. Hopefully you're careful. Whew.
Yeah, the rest didn't end up in such a state. Just that one. That one looks so terrible.
Bummer. So I actually, same previous boyfriend, I splurged for him and bought a Wolverine custom, and that was the larger Celsius figures, and we're talking like $250, $300. And that, again, I don't know what to do with it. And honestly, I don't expect to get back that money on it. But I spent a lot, and it's in good shape. It's like, but I don't know what to do with it. Like, I don't like Wolverine.
Yeah.
So, but it's a bummer that your Batman got ruined. So yeah, I guess, Gary, the call outs have helped. I do appreciate people reaching out. I'm always open to that. And people obviously reach out to talk about the episodes too, or say they enjoy listening, and I enjoy that as well. So that's why I give out my Instagram handle at the end. Before we dig into other stuff, when we were talking about what George is going to have at DCon and all that. So, Kat, I assume you're going to DesignerCon again this year?
Maybe. I actually have not booked anything. Does that sound bad? It kind of sounds bad.
That sounds terrible. You have to go.
No, I know. It's just, there's just been like a lot going on, and I just haven't figured out my schedule. And then also I got disoriented because it's at Anaheim this year. And I don't know that area at all. Like, I'm super comfy with Pasadena. So I'm like, oh my God. Like, in Pasadena, I had this hotel that I like to stay at. I had this whole routine mapped out. And now in Anaheim, I'm like, I don't know anything.
We're all in that same boat, though.
I know. When I was trying to figure out where to stay and where to fly in, oh my gosh, travel planning is my least favorite thing of a trip. Like, figuring out the hotel you want to stay in and the flight you want to take. But I got it over with because I needed it done. So,
hey, can I ask, were the hotels a lot? I've heard rumors that because it's in Anaheim, it's like way more than Pasadena.
No?
Well, no. So there are a few on the DesignerCon website that are like recommended with block discounts and all of that. Yeah. But I actually ended up booking something different. And I don't have internet right now. I just tried to go to the website. Duh, I don't have power. But I was able to find one that was actually a cheaper rate than the discount rates they were offering through the DesignerCon site, through the block discounts.
Most of the ones I was looking at were in the $130 to $150 range.
Oh, that's not bad at all. I thought I was expecting like $300, $400 because it's Disneyland.
Oh, no, that's not the case at all. There's so many hotels in the area. There's really something for every budget. The ones that tend to be super spendy tend to be like Disneyland Hotel, where it's Disneyland adjacent. You're basically sleeping with Mickey and you roll out of bed, you're on a roller coaster. That's expensive, but you can find a decent place for $150 a night.
Oh, okay. Good to know. I have a feeling that I'll probably end up going, but it'll be a very last minute, like, scramble, OMG, and then just show up.
You're part of Broke Piggy, though, aren't you? Like, isn't that something that you do every year at DesignerCon? Like, they only do that one convention.
Yes, that is true.
So you gotta be there, then.
So I should be there, yes. I just have not gotten my head around planning this. But I think most people that travel with me know I'm like this, so they're like, okay, oh, it's fine.
With Broke Piggy being there, whether or not you attend, even though you should, Kat, I did see that you're getting ready to do a second Shard Dunny custom show. Is that correct?
Yes, then we are.
So tell me a little bit about that. Is it a new lineup of artists or same artists as last time?
Well, it's actually a larger lineup of artists, and so they're different. I mean, there's a few returning ones, but there's a lot more this time. And some of the sneak peeks, which we haven't yet released, but soon we will. Looking at them, the pieces are all so amazing, and I'm really excited for the show this year. I feel like it's going to be even more amazing than last time. Of course, I would be a little bit biased to say that, but I think once you all start seeing them, you'll be like, wow.
So I know that Scott has put out the shards in various sizes. So did the artists get to choose their custom size? Are they all varied, or are they one specific size?
They are of varying sizes.
Okay.
So that will be something to be seen. I won't reveal who has what, so you'll just have to wait and see.
But there are some in the 3-inch and then some in, I think it's the 5-inch, and maybe
yes.
that's
okay.
That's
right.
Cool. So when you do these kind of custom shows, do you have to get Kid Robot's blessing? Is Kid Robot making the shards, or are they just helping say, yeah, thumbs up, you're good, and someone else is producing them?
So someone else is producing them, but it's a partnership. So Scott and Kid Robot are working on sort of all of these together, right? So like the designing of it, production of it, they're like a team. So every part of it they all know about. So it's not like one person just does whatever they want.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So is there anything else that Broke Piggy is planning that you can sneak peek for us, or is it all under wraps?
Well, there might be a sneak that I can talk about. So, I don't know if you remember, but last year, we had some special Uamu.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, this year we will have another series. But this one will be, an interesting intersection of Broke Piggy and Scott's design and Ayako, Studio Uamu. So you'll see it. But let's just say there's a little bit of Argyle in there.
Interesting.
Oh,
okay.
No, and Argyle Uamu, I'm in. I love Uamu stuff.
They're so great, and they've been doing so many animals, and I know you all had the pig, and then you see them, again, just like the Kanatsu Nagoras, where there's all these customs overseas, and I just have to look at the pictures and cry a little bit. Uamu's the same way. They've got elephants and bears and pandas and all these adorably cute animals, but they're always sold at shows and never online. So I'm always excited when Broke Piggy does some, because it at least gives us a chance to get our hands on some of those custom pieces.
Oh my God. I think you will love this one then.
Oh goodness. Okay. I'm excited.
I have a question.
Yeah.
We've said Broke Piggy like 16 times now. Can you tell me what Broke Piggy is?
What do you mean by what it is? Like literally, what is a Broke Piggy?
No. Your company.
Broke Piggy, but what is Broke Piggy?
Oh yeah. So actually we all started a few years ago as, think of it like a toy collective. So it was just a bunch of, collectors who really love toys. And we just got together and we said, hey, we want to make toys that we want, like that we want to buy. And we want to work with some of our favorite artists to make that happen. And that's kind of how it all started. And so we there was a very small group of us. We all sort of played different roles. And so a lot of us just sort of reached out to different artists that, we liked. And that's how it all started. So for me personally, I love Uamu. And so for me, I already had a relationship with the studio. And so when it came time to thinking about artists to, for example, invite for the Shard show or, to create like a custom Uamu set, like it was, I could then just reach out and say, hi, like, what do you think of this idea? Like, et cetera, et cetera. And so that's kind of how it all started. It wasn't more than that. We just wanted to make fun things.
How many people is it?
So the original number of people was actually 5. And now it's kind of a mysterious number because we've sort of grown in size. And so, and the way we have sort of grown has I guess, changed over time, because instead of like having the same roles that we all started out with, we wanted to involve more people, because the more people we involved, then sort of the more projects we could fund, right, and work on. And also, we found other people along the way that had similar interests. So I actually don't know what the current number is now, because it's not like an official, like, oh, it's just this number of people. It's people that sort of come in and out as they want, if that makes sense.
Oh, okay.
Or like all like super consultants now, I guess.
Are you all like investors? I don't understand how it works exactly.
Yeah, I mean, some of us are investors, some aren't. Some are like more of like the like ideation team. Like it just kind of depends, right? And a big part of it is we want to invest in things that we're interested in. So like, maybe not everyone's interested in investing in all the things. So that's kind of why we're sort of a fluid group, because it's not like we all invest and all work on the same projects.
They're very casual up in Broke Piggy.
She was the same with us last year when we were talking about Broke Piggy. Like, very tight-lipped on what they are and who they are. It's interesting to me because I think they've been around for like 5 or 6 years now, and I still don't really have a good sense of what Broke Piggy is.
It's just a group of people like me who like toys, who want to help make other toys.
No, I get that, but why the mystery?
But
why not disclose like some of the other members involved? Why is it only Kat?
I know other members. I know some of them.
Anonymous. They want the artist to shine, not them.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
I get that. It's just interesting. Usually companies like to have a little bit of knowledge of who's involved or have a face to the collective brand, company, or whatever it is, and Broke Piggy's different. They don't really want to be known for who they are, and I get that.
I know some of the people in it, because maybe it's because I'm a collector. I don't know. I mean, but I know some.
Provocative.
It's, I don't know. I kind of get what you're saying. There's not like one face to the company.
Yeah, and I think like we try not to take ourselves too seriously, so it's why there's not like faces per se. And I think kind of thinking about what George was saying, like, yeah, actually we want the art itself, the toys, the artists, whoever should showcase their talent. That's kind of what we want out there. And I think the people are sort of less, like the people behind the scenes are sort of less important.
Right. I get that, and that's totally commendable. But when I'm talking to someone on the show, I'm also very cognizant of what are the listeners hearing and what are they going to want me to ask. And a lot of our listeners are up and coming, or they're looking to ways how to get things developed or how to get into a custom show. So when we have someone on that can help someone possibly get something made, I feel like people are going to want to know, like, who do I approach, or who's involved behind this company, or how do I get my stuff in front of their eyes to get potentially a custom show or a toy made.
Oh, so people want toys made?
Like if Gary wants to get a Broke Piggy toy made, how does
George, no, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I want at all. What I'm trying to say is there's a lot of listeners who are trying to get their foot in the door. It's probably not best to just go right out and go for a kid robot or an instinct toy or a big company. You got to be an established artist to do something like that. Maybe a collective like Broke Piggy is the way to get your foot in the door. And so what I'm trying to think is Broke Piggy interested in being approached? Like, can someone send their stuff to you, and how do they do that?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, there's the website, there's the Instagram account, and actually, they could just stop by and talk to us at Decon.
The thing that's interesting about it, Gary, is that, as Kat says, the Broke Piggy started by a group of people wanting more made of the stuff they like. So their personal interests are going to drive what's made. So what I think someone out there, if they're interested and think, well, maybe Broke Piggy would pick me up, they should go out, explore the types of things Broke Piggy has made, and say, hey, am I a good fit based on these things that I've seen that they've produced or helped put together? Because if they go out there and look, there's obviously a certain direction of the type of things they make. And they do have some various things they've made and sold at Decon, but they don't do it all. So, I mean, I think as an artist, they could go there and look through their Instagram and what have you and get a feel for the types of things that they sell.
And to be fair, the Instagram does say toys, prints, secrets.
Of course. I should have gone there first, because then I would have known not to get into this whole secrecy thing. Like, shh, nobody gets to know us. Shh, quiet.
Yeah.
And they've only, I mean, it looks like they actually haven't been around as long as you think, Gary. I think they started in 2015. So it's only been a couple years.
Yeah, I thought they were older than that for some reason. Okay.
No, it says launching. Decon 2015 is their very first post. Kat, am I wrong?
Oh man, you see, I have really bad memory when it comes to these things, but that sounds actually right. Because yeah, it hasn't been 5 or 6 years.
Okay, my bad.
Boom, Gary.
My bad. I was wrong.
I got that knowledge. It's called, just research. Look it up.
Sorry.
But really, I think, at least for my memory's sake, Gary, where Broke Piggy started was Decon 2015, and that's when they did a bunch of stuff with the bots, and they had that whole crossover series where these artists designed a ocean kind of based figure, but the bots basically created in their aesthetic all the different figures for the series based off other artists' designs.
Maybe you should do Broke Piggy marketing, huh?
Yes, hire her.
Maybe. Hey, you want to swoop me in the collective? Let me know. I'd be curious to be a little bit more involved. I'm all for it.
But I love that you remember. Yeah, this is all right. Like, yeah, back then, we had the bots, doing a lot of the custom creations and, turning into something real a lot of the designs that several different artists sort of submitted, right? And so, yeah, it was so interesting to have that because it was truly like multiple artists collaborating on like a single thing. That's pretty cool.
Right. And it was crazy because they were all customs done by the bots, and the bots worked through like a crap ton of customs to create this blind box series. So the amount of 3-inch dunnies I had to make must have been insane. And the reason I remember it so well is because I did not go. That was, I think I can't remember if I went to Decon 2016 or 2016 was my first year. So I missed it, and I was so bummed because the series sold out. And so every now and again, I'll post in groups, hey, does anyone have a piece from this series they want to sell?
Oh.
So I think that's why I remember it so much, because it's like, darn it, I really liked it. But yeah, so that was when it all started, Gary. It was just a couple of years ago. And
okay, just for some reason in my mind, it seems older than that. 2015 just seems so recent.
I mean, 2015 is actually lifetimes ago, right? In the like collecting scene. Like, think of all the stuff people have bought between then and now.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's 4 decons ago.
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah. Well, before we switch topics, it seems like Decon is not so much a focus for you, Kat, but I was curious. I mean, the Designer Con is going to be so different this year, and I know you've been going to Designer Con for years and years and years.
Yeah.
What is your opinion on the whole Anaheim and all these new booth setups and all of that? I mean, are you nervous? Are you excited?
I think I'm nervous about sort of, as I mentioned earlier, I don't really know Anaheim that well, so I'm just nervous about that. Your creature comforts. Like, when you go to Comic-Con, you know exactly where the good and the bad food are, and you kind of know how to navigate around. And I feel like with Decon, you're going to buy a lot of stuff. And so trying to carry all that stuff around and navigate back to wherever it is you're trying to get to, I think that part will be scary. Second is, I think this year there's like a preview night, right? And so that's like a lot of extra work if you have a booth. So that will be interesting. But, I think beyond that, I don't know. I think it'll be nice to see something different. But I think part of me is like, oh, now that it's in Anaheim, it truly means it's not just like a small niche event. Now it's like the big leagues.
Yeah, it's big. It's definitely big. I mean, when you look at the roster of booths and stuff, it's kind of, for me as a collector, overwhelming. It's like, oh my gosh, there's going to be so much there. And the preview night piece, I don't know how you feel about it, Kat, but it makes me nervous in the sense of just, I don't know. I feel like I got to get my game face on, and how's it going to be? And,
Here comes spreadsheets.
Right? Like,
yes.
Oh my gosh. It's just, prioritizing, and it's hard because I had just started going to decon and kind of slowly like figuring it out, like where you go and how you line up and where booths are set up and all that. And now it's all new. So it's like, it's stressful to not know what it's going to be like and, how far away things are. It's going to be interesting. But at the same time, when you look at the vast list of what else is going to be there, it's also very exciting as well. I mean, have you perused all the various booths and events and stuff going on? Is there anything that gets you really excited of people who may never have attended before who are finally going to be there?
Would you be shocked if I told you I haven't looked at the list?
What? Come on now.
I know.
I'm
so disorganized this year. I don't know what is happening, but I will be on my game when I show up.
I don't know. There's going to be a ton. I know one that Gary and I are both really excited about is How to Work, Casting Lung. And they've never.
God, is he coming?
Yes.
Okay, I'm excited.
So who else is on the list that would? Oh gosh, now I'm gonna have, and I can't go to the website. So Gary, you may have to help me out and pull up the list, or George, since you're a little more involved. But I'm trying to think of people that you were really into that you would be excited about. I know that was a big one.
I mean, honestly, Theresa, it would be easier to rattle off the small list of people who aren't going to be there than name everyone who's going to be there, because it's become such a big convention. So many international artists and companies make it to the event now. It would be a very small list of who's not coming.
I mean, there's a ton of Japanese artists coming out.
Yeah, if you're collecting Sofubi now, there's going to be tons of that for you.
Yeah, tell me who.
I don't have internet, so sorry, I can't back you up on this. But definitely when you have a chance, the vendor link on the DesignerCon site, and I don't know, there's a vendor map section, and it's actually a really cool tool because you can search by artist name, search by booth number, zoom into the map, zoom out, kind of play around with it. It's really interactive. You should definitely go in and take a look because the list is insane. And
this is another DesignerCon commercial. Marsham Toy Hour is sponsored by 3D Retro. 3D Retro is ran by Ben Gorescu, who also happens to run DesignerCon. It's an amazing store. If you're in the Southern California, Burbank adjacent area, be sure to stop in and check out the brick and mortar location. But otherwise, you can check out 3D Retro at 3dretro.com.
I'm trying to look at this now.
It's nerve-wracking for me because as a collector, I know we have to prioritize, but with all these new booths coming and like everyone I see, I'm like, oh my god, it's like I'm gonna spend all my money. Gary, I need you to like police me. I'm gonna go poor.
Nope, not gonna happen. I live vicariously through you, so buy away, shop.
Oh my god, did you guys see this? Andy Park art is going to be there.
Who is that?
So Andy Park is, I forget what his like official title is, but he is like one of the creative directors for Marvel. So all the recent movies, like, Avengers and all that, like he did a lot of the concept art for it.
Oh, cool.
So that's amazing that he's going to be there.
It sounds like DesignerCon is getting closer to a Comic-Con.
Yeah,
I know. It surprises me that kind of person is going to have a booth there.
Ooh, Refreshment Toy will be back. Oh my God, there's going to be a huge mob there.
Yeah, like I said, the list is so long. I'm going to have to really, for me, just to feel like I have a plan, really cull through and sort of prioritize and figure it out. But again, like all decons, we've seen a few inklings of reveals and releases, but not very many. And I get we're still at the beginning of October, so it's going to be a bit. But I'm just waiting for that influx of just news upon news. And that's when I'm really going to,
Toygasm.
I guess kind of have to figure things out. What I want to do.
Yeah. You know what? We should probably mention the rest of our sponsors, though. So let's take a brief. We've already mentioned 3dretro.com. And honestly, before we get doing that, I want to thank our sponsors for their support because we don't charge for this at all. So they're the ones that help pay for our monthly hosting fees and all that sort of stuff. So thank you very much for your support. And as listeners, we've never charged for this or anything. And we've been doing this 2.5 years, almost weekly. So if you've enjoyed what we do, all we really ask is please help support our sponsors, because, they've been great to us. And so we would like you guys to be great to them. Also, so let's go ahead and mention them. So for all your toy wants, needs, and desires, be sure to check out, we've already mentioned, 3dretro.com, but as well as StrangeCatToys.com. Strange Cat Toys has been with us pretty much since the beginning. They've been great sponsors for us, and they have a great promotional code for you. So if you're a fan of the show, use promo code MARSHAM at checkout, and you will receive 10% off your entire order. And Strange Cat Toys is also available via an application, so be sure to download that in any one of your favorite application stores. And then to stay on top of all your latest and greatest designer toy news, be sure to like and follow SpankyStokes at SpankyStokes.com, as well as The Toy Chronicle at TheToyChronicle.com. And The Toy Chronicle is available via an application, so download that at any one of your favorite application stores. And we would like to congratulate The Toy Chronicle on celebrating their 5th year anniversary. I've been seeing lots of mentions about that in their Instagram feeds, and they got lots of merchandise to help celebrate, so please help support them. All right, Kat, let's take a brief moment. Let's talk about you as an Android collector and your relationship with Andrew Bell, because you're in a unique position as a collector. You've also worked with Andrew and had androids produced based on your concepts or designs. So this is called like the We Love Dog series, yeah?
Yes.
And this is your second one that you've done with him?
Yes, it is.
Now, I know you've told the story last time you're on, but can you refresh my memory on how you went from being a collector to now having 2 Android collectibles credited to you?
Yeah, totally. So, part of it is Andrew's really nice and approachable, so that definitely helps. The other part is also, Google has, obviously Google and Andrew Bell work very closely together, and so there's kind of already like a precedent set for Googlers to work with Andrew on, various like team specific Androids or, event Androids, things like that. Like there was recently an Android that came out to celebrate security and privacy. I think it was like week or month. I can't remember how long the time span is. But it's like, so that pipeline is kind of already there. And, there's a lot of enthusiasts at Google, both from like an Android collector perspective, but also from just like hobbies perspective. And back then, when I first made the first one with Andrew, there's, Googlers is what you call people who work at Google. And then Googlers with dogs, they call themselves Dooglers. And so there's quite a few of us Dooglers. And all of us wanted to have something to, kind of symbolize the group and have fun with it. And so that's where the Doogler idea for the Android came up. And so that's sort of like, I talked to Andrew. We talked about sort of like what the production minimums were. We like bounced ideas off of each other and talked about, what kind of like fun things would there be? I actually worked with the Doogler group to sort of crowdsource the funding for it, because it wasn't like an official like Google event, right? It's just a group of people who like dogs. We had to sort of self-pay. So it was almost like mini crowdsourcing Kickstarter, except you don't get like an extra goodie. You just get the toy. And so that's kind of how it started. And it like grew beyond what I thought it was. Like, it's been like 2 years maybe since that came out. And
sounds about right.
Yeah, I still get people emailing me, pinging me, asking for that first version. And so what ended up happening was a few months ago, people kept asking for that figure. And I was like, well, if people want it so badly, maybe we should start thinking about a second figure. And then separately, there's a group of Googlers who love cats. And so they're the Mewglers. Yeah, we have very funny names. And so they were saying, what about us? We want a cat too. And so what I then thought of was having like a dog and cat pairing, because the last edition was a Googler with a dog. And so this time it would be a dog and a cat. And so I like talked to Andrew again. I said, hey, people really want the first Doogler, but rather than just remake the first one and have a, second wave, which kind of makes it less fun for people who already were in the first wave, I said, let's just make another one and we'll add a cat. And he was like, yeah. And so that's kind of how it started. And then we did the same thing with sort of, you know, the crowdsourcing, crowdfunding. And this one, we got it. And actually, the dog and the cat is based off of my dog Scooter, and the cat is based off the cat that I used to have, who's now living with a friend named Cheeseburger Bob.
Good name.
That's awesome. So have those, I saw the preview for them. Have they, so I know last time with the original Dougler set, it started out as a thing at Google, but kind of grew, and you all were kind of allowed to sell it outside of the employees. So I was able to get a set, and I know other people in the community were. Is it going to be the same thing with this set, where people at Google will be able to get it, but we can get it outside it, like non-employees can get it as well?
Yes, and actually, I think that link went live for the non-employees. So yes, we did release it internally first, and then we sold a small number on Andrew's site. I think it was a few weeks ago. So
I missed it.
I know. I don't know if it's still there, but don't worry about it. I have extras.
Oh, good to know. Man, so I didn't realize that it already went live. I've been really bad. I guess you did post about it back in mid-August, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's super, super cute.
Thanks. I'm actually really excited about it, and so I'm hoping that, you know, people, you know, are happy that there's both a dog and a cat. So I don't know what's next. If there is a next, I mean, maybe more animals, like a sloth. I don't know.
Oh my goodness. Well, I feel like the Muglers, maybe they'd want an all cat set. Maybe they feel like, oh, you did a dog again and made us like the small one. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. I haven't heard yet. Instead, what I've been hearing is like other people want to make their own for like their own teams or their events. And so they've been like reaching out and asking me, how did you do it?
Okay.
You know, I didn't want to forget how much work it was, because it was actually a lot of work. And so what I had done was I had actually written up an how-to guide for people within Google who wanted to, you know, do something similar. And so now when people ask, I just send them that link instead of like sort of repeating myself over and over.
Oh, nice. Well, you know, it's so, you know, I know last time we talked about the Dougler, but really didn't have a chance to dig into the whole Android scene. And so, you know, I've always wondered, because there are still special edition Androids being made that are separate from what Andrew makes and sells on his store, right?
Oh, yeah. So like the one I mentioned earlier, the security and privacy one, that one was definitely for internal employees as part of like, you know, security and privacy awareness. There's actually a bunch of other ones that have come out recently. And so like some examples are, you know, and there's interns that come in intern season. And so if you host an intern, you get a special edition. If you are an intern, you get a special edition. So, you know, you can't get these like on his store or anything. You have to like actually work there and do those things to get one.
Do you think that there's dunnies like that? Like there's like a dunny that you can only get if you work at Kid Robot or anything like that? Like would that make fans not want to collect things because there's ones you could never ever get?
Ooh, we should ask somebody.
I don't know, because what's interesting, George, is I know there's all these special edition Androids out there, and I don't know all the rules around a cat, but they're like, I have seen them like sold. Like,
yeah, so you know, you're not supposed to sell them as employees, and so so if it's like one that you got, you know, at work because of, you know, your participation on a team or something, yeah, those ones you definitely aren't supposed to sell. But if they're like just the general ones that sometimes you can buy as like an employee or something, I think even those ones you can't. So, okay, I'll give you an example. So if we do like a bulk buy, those ones we can't sell either. But sometimes what happens is you give them to friends, and then once you give them to friends can do kind of whatever they want. And so I think, you know, sometimes friends just sell them. But in general, like the Google employees that I know, they don't sell theirs. They just keep them. But that's also why those special editions that only employees get sometimes sell on, you know, eBay or wherever for really ridiculous prices, because you can't find them otherwise. And so if you somehow end up seeing one out in the wild, then, you know, people go crazy over them.
Right. I had a feeling it was more than likely supposed to be a, you know, employee type thing, but I was just curious if there were rules and stuff around it. But do most people, I mean, do you have a crazy large special edition Android collection then? Because of work?
I do actually. But you know, I have to say, even as an employee, like, you don't get them all the time. And part of it is because if you're not on that team, it isn't just magically like come to you, right? And so there are definitely a lot of special editions I don't have. So usually what ends up happening is if I want a special edition from some other team, a lot of times I have to trade for it. And if I can't trade for it and I really, really want it, then that's when I myself might even go to eBay looking around for one. But I try not to spend too much on these because sometimes people go out of control. Like, I remember in the heyday of the collecting, like, fire, I guess, for lack of a better phrase, there were some folks who were willing to pay $1,000 in Android.
Jeez.
And at that point, I was like, okay, this is too crazy. Because, you know, like, I mean, they are really cool, but at that point, that money doesn't go to Andrew or, you know, anybody. It just goes to some person, you know?
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It is kind of saddening, to your point, George, the idea that all of these really special editions are made and you have to work at Google in order to get them. So if you're really into the Android platform, you kind of just have to accept, either go work at Google or just deal that you're not going to get your hands on any of these.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a horrible platform to collect. Like, it would drive me insane. Like, I'm way too completist to even try that. That's insane.
Yeah. It is definitely not a completionist friendly platform. Like, again, like, you know, I work at Google and I don't even have access to all of them. So I've given up being a completionist because otherwise it would drive me crazy, George. Crazy.
Yeah,
I mean,
I wouldn't be able to deal with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, every once in a while I'll be surprised because I'll see some amazing Android and I'm like, where's that from? And it'll be some like team that I have no contacts on and I'm like, oh, never mind.
Bummer. See, it is fun though that you have toys tied into your work. I mean, I don't have anything fun that my job gives me.
I mean, you get hotel gift cards. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. See, I need to go work for a company that makes cool stuff as worker worse. That should be my requirement. I go in for an interview, I say, what cool stuff do you give your employees when you reach certain goals?
Yes. And you're like dropping hints, right? Like, you know, gold Rolex sounds kind of amazing.
Yeah, one day. I just not now. But you know, speaking about Tokidoki and stuff and Androids and all that, one of the things that I know we talked about a bit last time was on your travels and stuff. You know, some of the fun things you would do with lotteries and
oh no,
kind of crazy cool ways to get pieces. But you know, one of the things that I don't know, I feel like the world of blind boxes is kind of evolving, and I'm kind of curious what you think because, you know, for the longest time, I feel like here in the U.S., the blind boxes we would get is stuff from our scene, like Tokidoki, Kid Robot kind of stuff. But lately, I feel like there's been an influx of a lot of things overseas starting to come in and be sold here, like things like from Pop Mart or even like some of the gashapon type of stuff where it's like a cute little, you know, animals that you can set on your glass. Like they can kind of hang on your glass and they're in like all sorts of different poses and stuff. I mean, do you feel like that too? Do you feel like we're starting to get an influx of some of that blind box influence from Asia and such slowly starting to get over here? Or from your experience having been over there, do you feel like there's still a ton more over there that we don't see here at all?
So I would say from a blind box perspective, I would definitely say it's growing here. But I think we still haven't quite reached the fervor of Asia, only because, you know, blind box is, I guess, kind of a form of gambling in the sense like you don't know what you're going to get. But at the end of the day, there isn't, how do you put it? There is a chase and you hope to get the chase, but you're not always guaranteed the chase, right? Because sometimes even if you buy an entire case, there's one chase that's not there potentially, right? But I think with some of the lottery systems that we briefly talked about last time called Ichiban Kuji, for that one you can kind of brute force your way to the grand prize by just buying all the tickets. So like, so you kind of also know what's left, because some of the stores will actually show you the remaining prizes, right? So I'll give you a typical Ichiban Kuji scenario. So I really love Rilakkuma. That's actually something I started collecting a lot of in the last year. I mean, I always had a collection, but it went off the rocker this year. But anyhow, so with one of these, they always have like the lower level prizes, which are things like, notepads or pen sets, or sometimes they have really cool like ceramic plates and bowls and cups with like, Rilakkuma running around. And for people on, who are listening to this who don't know what Rilakkuma is, it's this lazy bear that's a Sanix character, and he like eats food and sits around and stuff. But anyhow, so you got the kind of the lower level, less desirable prizes, and then it just sort of goes up from there, right? So then you start getting like large plushes. So these plushes are, I'm looking at my plushes to estimate size, like maybe almost 2 feet tall.
Oh,
so these are large, right? So these are the kind of things that you win out of like those claw machines, except in this one, you don't have to do the claw machine. You just hopefully buy the ticket that is the one for it. And these tickets have different letters on it. So generally, prize A and prize B and prize C are like the highly desirable, very large plushes. And then D and below are all the random other stuff. And sometimes the large prizes are things like toasters or humidifiers, like random electronics. But the thing is that like the grand prize doesn't have a ticket. The grand prize you can only get if you also happen to buy the last ticket. And so the grand prize tends to be an even larger plush or, a cooking pot or something. These are all things I've won, by the way. And so what you can do is you can just go to the store. As people win the prizes, they'll take them down off of the wall and they'll leave the rest on there. So you know exactly what's left and how many tickets are left. And you can just say, you know what, there's 12 tickets. I'm going to buy all 12 tickets and win the grand prize. That is a concept that we don't have for blind boxes, because you only see the closed boxes. So you have no idea what's left there. And there's no like extra special chase that you get if you buy all the boxes on the set.
Yeah. No, it's really interesting. That's a good comparison. But there's also the whole gashapon system too, right? And is that more of a better comparison of what we think of as blind boxes here? I mean, because those are just, instead of going into a store and perusing boxes and picking a box out of a case, I know it's a little different because there's these like machine setups just lined up down these various stores. But it's the same idea, right? Where it's more of a true blind situation because you're just putting a coin in, turning it, and hoping you get one you want.
Yep. And in some cases, the like little plastic balls are open, so you can see what it is as soon as it rolls out of the chute, but you can't pre-pick it. And sometimes they even have those covered up as well. And so it's truly really blind, because then if you peek inside, you don't see any balls with stuff in it. You know what I mean? You just see like it's just all opaque. So so I think that's much more like a blind box than maybe those like ticket lotteries are. But the ticket lotteries are really fun. I saw somebody win a Sanrio luggage in front of me, and I was so disappointed because I wanted the luggage. It's like a carry-on luggage.
Oh, wow.
What company do you guys think is doing blind boxes the best? Like, who has the best like approach to blind boxes, do you think?
I mean, if you think about it, Kat, just like to throw some names out there, right? We've got Kid Robot, Tokidoki, Medicom, Pop Mart, I think, has become, at least for me, just because that I've been able to buy more from them recently, like the Pucky Pool Babies and the Mollies, the Kenny Wong blind box series. What else has Pop Mart done?
If you had to give an award to someone for best blind box producer of 2018, who are you giving it to?
Man, this is hard. Who would you pick, Kat?
So I would probably pick something that we probably don't talk about on the show very often or in general, but I'd probably pick the Re-Ment sets that come out of Japan. So these are the ones where they're like tiny foods. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yep, I've heard of Re-Ment.
Yeah. So those, mainly because I guess playability, for lack of a better phrase, the playability of that is really high, and it's still a blind box. You don't know what you're going to get, but each one comes with like 3, 4, 5, even 6 very small, very well detailed pieces, and you can combine them with Re-Ment from other, characters or whatever to create like entire scenes. And that I think is really cool, and it kind of appeals to both collectors who have whole entire Instagram accounts dedicated to just making different scenes with it, to like, just random casual collectors.
I just got my power back!
Yay!
Sorry. All the lights in my house just came on at once.
Now
anyway,
really
sorry.
Happy.
Going back, I don't think I know what
Sorry.
Re-Ments are. Maybe it's just something that I haven't paid much attention to.
Oh,
Re-Ment?
Yes. I think once you look it up, you'll be like, oh, you'll know exactly what it is.
You don't see a ton of them over here, Gary. I mean, you can get them, but a lot of times I see them where they're themed, like Hello Kitty Re-Ment sets or Rilakuma, or
if you shop at that box lunch store or whatever it's called, the Hot Topic for adults, it's they have them there. They have a ton of them.
Okay, I'm looking at it now on Amazon, and this is the first time I'm really seeing this sort of stuff.
Oh man,
really?
It is an adventure all on its own. And I feel like, this is an early, these things came out many, many years ago, and, they just sort of continued on. And I feel like they're a little bit almost like OG blind boxes, but like more mass market than maybe like some of the designer toys were at first.
Gary, you got to find yourself a Re-Ment skeleton. The skeleton sets are so cool.
Huh. Okay, let me look that up.
There's always links on my Instagram coming up for like buying Re-Ment stuff. It must be what I search a lot, but I get ads for those on Instagram all the time.
I've not heard of the skeleton ones. What are those, George?
Oh, they're just amazing little posable skeletons. There's a little dog. There's like a little like small skeleton, like a kid skeleton, an adult skeleton. There's so many cool ones. And they have tons of like accessories and like chairs and a toilet and like all these different things just for the skeleton sets.
I love that you know this, George.
Oh, I'm a big Re-Ment fan. I love all the little tiny foods. I got a little Gudetama French souffle sitting right next to me on the shelf.
Yes.
I'm looking at the Re-Ment pose skeletons now, and they're actually pretty cool looking. They look very articulated. I'm seeing them in a bunch of different poses, like holding chalk and doing wrestling moves and all sorts of stuff.
They're really cool. If you don't have any, you should definitely at least pick up one of the skeletons just to check them out, and you'll be happy with it. They're really cool little pieces. And I also believe that DKE or Dispersed sells Re-Ment as well. They might even have the skeleton stuff.
Yeah, but we can't buy from Dispersed.
But you can hit up your local favorite retailer and ask them to buy it for you.
There you go.
It's support your local stores.
Shop small.
Gosh, this is great. There's one of a skeleton puking into a toilet. I'm going to the bathroom on toilet.
Do you all buy a lot of blind boxes still? I know I've totally slowed down. I've been collecting since 2003, and I've probably lost hundreds of dollars on trying to get the toys I actually want out of a blind box series, and very rarely has that panned out. So I've slowed down for that reason. I've been mainly buying my blind box toys either open box or on the secondary market. But are you guys still buying a lot of like blind boxes as they initially come out?
I still buy them, but I think nowadays when I buy them, it's actually to support the store that I'm buying it from versus me actually wanting them.
Okay.
I won't lie, I've done that a little bit. I don't know, it's kind of a mix. I do think it's died down a bit for me, but it just depends on the series. mean, you think about the Pucky Pool babies, Gary. I went all in on those. I mean, it's
Yeah,
just,
I know. I was there. I saw the whole thing, and you're very much different than me, though. It doesn't faze you to drop 150, $200 on an entire series if you like it, and I'm just different than that way. I would actually, I only want the ones that I would actually want to pay money for, even though all of them were very similar looking, and they were all by the same artist. You would think they would all be great, but still, there's still only certain ones that I want. I'm not an entire series kind of guy, so in regard, we're different, but I understand why you buy things that way. But what about the series where you only like one or two or maybe a handful of pieces out of 16?
I mean, I think in that case, when I'm only really after a few, I tend to not take the gamble and try to find an open version to either buy from a collector or on eBay, just to save myself the hassle of going through that craziness. But then if it's a series where I like the majority, I'll take a gamble. So like from Fluffy House, they're doing all those various series now. They're on series 3, I think, and they're doing a cooking series right now. So it's all their different characters in like a restaurant. And I looked at that series and I thought, you know what? I like a lot of these. For kicks, I'm just going to buy one. Like I'm not picky. I just want one of them. I kind of have favorites, but like I think I'll be happy overall no matter what I get. So like there are still cases where I'll pick up a random blind box because it's fun. I mean, there's still something fun, at least for me, to not knowing what you're gonna get. Like it kind of kills the fun a little bit when you just go out and know what you're gonna get. Like, oh, okay, I want that design. Are you selling it? Okay, cool. I'll just buy it.
Yeah, I still enjoy blind boxes for that reason. I'll buy those, like the Tokidoki sushi cars and some stuff where I feel like I like the majority of them, like you said. But I feel like blind boxes, they're not really all that affordable anymore. Lots of them start at $12 to $15. And when I first started collecting in 2003, they were ranging between $5 and $8. So for me, once they started going over $10, that's when I became really more hesitant and taking that blind box gamble still. I still do it occasionally, but not nearly as much as I was doing it when it was $10 and under.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably more, it's a budget thing. I don't know how you feel, Kat. If it started getting in like the $20 range, yeah, I'm going to definitely start to change my ways probably, but I don't know. I wasn't really around when they were 5 to 8, so it's a little more norm for me. I'm willing to take a gamble on $12 every now and again, just for the fun of it.
You're a high roller, though. You and Kat, you're both high rollers. You guys are out of my league.
Well, I mean, if your Kat's over there walking into stores saying, "Oh, you got 20 tickets left to get that luggage set?" Sure, I'll buy all 20 tickets.
Oh, but that's totally worth it. And by the way, those tickets are like $5.
Yeah, so see, they're not that bad. You know, when I think back to the gashapons, I almost think they're worse than blind boxes in some ways, because I know while they're cheaper, as Kat was saying, like these machines, you have no choice. Like there is no case set up at a retailer where they have an open one you can swap for, or I mean, they I don't know, maybe they have communities out there I don't know about, but I mean, I feel like it's almost worse, because if you like a very specific one and there's 12 to get, I could see me just turning and turning and turning and turning, and because I don't really know if you have a choice. I mean, do they? Kat, is there any way to get open ones?
Scott and I sat there and did that many times.
Right?
Yeah, when we were there, we would just sit there and be like, no, we want to get this one, certain one. But then you do find, like, if you go to some of those larger stores, like those larger areas that have the toys and everything, there'll be whole shops that are just selling open ones.
But they cost more.
Yeah, they do. Like, sometimes the one that you want will be the more expensive one in the set, because it'll be the chase one. So, like, but you can end up, you'll spend 12 on it instead of 5 at the machine. But then how many times are you going to put 5 in the machine before you get the one you want anyway? So sometimes it works out, and sometimes, I mean, those shops, though, they have old sets, so there's stuff that you don't even see in machines anymore that you're like, oh, I want a bunch of these from this set, and you wouldn't even be able to get it anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
I wish we had those. I wish that whole culture was here. Like, even like women's like makeup stores had a gotcha ball machine in the front. Like, and there's like little toy makeup things or like little toy. Like I think one I got was like a polar bear with like a little handbag or something like that. It was like,
That's amazing.
yeah, I mean, they're just so cool. And you just walk past, you're like, of course, here's this change in my pocket. I don't know how much it is because I'm here and I don't care. And you just pop it in and you're just buying it. So like, I mean, maybe if we had more like dollar coins the way they do, like maybe it would be easier here. But like, it's so cool to be able to go to like every store and they have gotcha machines.
Yeah, it's kind of like candy machines, although I don't know how many. They kind of used to be around, and then I don't know. I don't think people use them as much, but it reminds me of that. And that's what I've heard too, George, is that they're just everywhere. I mean, there's some stores dedicated to it where it's just rows and rows and rows of machines, and then like to your point, there's just random shops that have them, or they're sitting outside a shop or whatever. Just everywhere you turn.
Like those stores that have it, like those don't even feel they're not even like good to go in. Like they don't feel as fun as when you just see it like in the subway or like at a random like store that just has a random one. Because like you go to those stores that are just the machines and like you kind of know it's like going to an arcade. You know what you're there for. I like the ones that are just random and you're walking by and you're like, what's in these 4 machines? And
yeah.
Like, of course, you're going to buy stuff and get random weird things. That's how I got so many tiny toys to bring home with me.
Did you find the banana bird?
No, I haven't gotten the banana bird yet.
What the heck is the banana bird?
Okay, just search hashtag banana bird on Instagram. You'll see real birds. But if you scroll through, you'll see some of the gashapon that are banana birds, and they are picture a peeled banana, but instead of banana, it's like a bird sitting in the peel with little bird feet coming out of it. The cutest thing.
Those are so cute.
I want them so bad. And again, like George, it kills me that they don't like that. Those kind of things haven't brought here. And God knows how many there are. Like how many gashapons there are in existence. How many series have been made and all that kind of stuff. And like I said, I'm slowly seeing different retailers carry snippets of them, like cats and tissue boxes and all of that. But there's so much more out there, and like that's one that I saw, and I was like, oh my gosh, I just want banana birds. Like
when I was there a couple years ago, there were so many banana ones. Like there was like a whole series of banana at the time. So like they didn't have the banana bird, but there was other different banana ones that were just as funny.
Maybe bananas were a thing for a bit. They like food too.
I love banana.
Oh no, I love this banana bird. First time seeing it. It's awesome.
Isn't it awesome? It's like and there's little baby versions, and they've made cockatoo versions and parrot versions. So if anyone out there is selling banana bird gachapons, let me know because I want.
Maybe some Japanese dudes will bring some this time.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, maybe there will be some at Designer Con. Who knows? But there's a whole culture for sure of that I think we're missing on. And I'm sure there are plenty more out there that I'd fall in love with. That one I just happened to randomly come across through some kind of random searching. And I was like, well, that's awesome. But if you were to go out on eBay or Google gachapon, I mean, the list and the amount and the variety is just insane. I mean, it's huge.
Yeah, that's definitely something that you kind of have to be very specific about what you want. Otherwise, it's super overwhelming. Did I talk to you guys about Neko Atsume last time I was on here?
I can't remember.
Okay, so Neko Atsume is this like mobile app where you basically collect cats. So the whole.
Oh yeah. Okay, I remember this.
Yeah, and so they got super popular, and so they ended up licensing a whole bunch of gachapons. And so those drove me crazy because they were everywhere and they had multiple series of that. And so that I ended up having to be very specific because when I found them in Japan, I would be one of those people who just kept rolling and turning for more of them. And then finally I got fed up and I started buying them on eBay.
Do you even, thinking about, I know we've talked a lot about on the show previously about my desire to keep blind boxes around for gachapons and the little plastic, they're like Easter eggs really, right? Like they're little 2 plastic semicircles that click together typically.
Yeah, they're ball sizes.
Yeah.
Okay. But I mean, do you equate that, Kat, to packaging and keep Like boxes of little gashapon.
Yeah, I actually throw those away because there's just no good way to store them. And also, it feels to me that the people who buy these from you don't really care if you have them.
Oh, Theresa would.
I don't know, because this isn't like a designed package, Gary. I mean, it's just a plastic shell. Now, in it, there's sometimes usually like a slip of paper that kind of explains the series, and I like seeing those. But I don't know. I mean, I could see me bending a bit on this. I won't lie. All of the Vinyl Artist Gotcha I've bought that come in those, plastic circles, cases or whatever, I've kept. But I don't know. I could see me tossing them. I could see me making an exception for these.
Luckily, when I was coming back, I didn't have the room for them all, so I had to throw a lot of them. But I kept like one of each size because I'm stupid.
Did you make a little Russian nesting doll out of them, George?
Actually, they still have their things in them because I still haven't unpacked that bag of tiny stuff.
Jeez.
Oh man, I want to know. Well, I know we were talking not last time, but a previous episode about all the stuff you bought, and I want to see your haul. So now I want to know all the gashapon you bought.
I have to get it out of the bag and like take a big picture of it all and post it or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I just have a feeling if one of these days I travel overseas, it's just going to be dangerous for me in many regards.
It is going to be so dangerous, Theresa. You're going to buy everything.
I don't know, man.
But it'll be so worth it. And then you'll tell me about all the lotteries that you win, and I'll be so proud.
I think we just lost George, Gary.
Oh, no.
Did we?
He just said George Gaspar left. I know if originally I thought it was me, but maybe Skype's just being all messed
jerk.
up.
No, Skype's being a jerk because this is getting ridiculous. I apologize, Kat. This is not something that usually things run pretty smoothly. Technical difficulties is something that rarely seems to happen, but tonight we're experiencing it in full force. And I thought it was just related to Theresa's power outage, and I'm going to end up cleaning this all up. And listeners, if you're hearing this, what you don't know is Theresa's already dropped off the call 3 times tonight, and now it seems like we lost George. So I'll end up cleaning most of it up and edit. But given that we're already recorded like an hour, 15 hour and 20 minutes, and we're still having technical difficulties, rather than going on and doing more, how about we just call it a night and wrap this up?
Yeah. But Kat, I do appreciate you coming back on with us. It's been fun talking to you again.
Yeah, it's been great talking with you all. Thanks so much for having me again. This was fun.
Yeah, we'll see you in a couple of weeks at DesignerCon. If you better be there.
Yes.
Start looking into your hotels and stuff now.
I should.
Yes. And I do appreciate you coming on last minute. We were kind of struggling a little bit to figure out what we were going to do. So.
Yeah, no worries.
So yeah, I guess I can do I should have done the intro, Gary. I'm sorry. I failed. But yeah, so to wrap up, Kat, do you want to give us let the listeners know. Stop! I'm trying so hard here. I hate this stuff. But Kat, if you want, take a second and let the listeners know where they can find you.
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at MrBear04. Mr. is spelled out, and for those who are listening to the whole thing, you'll know Mr. Bear is actually for Rilakuma. And if you want to see more of any of the Broke Piggy sneak peeks, follow Broke Piggy on Instagram. The handle is Broke Piggy.
I'm curious, do you remember what the website is?
Well, now I do. It's brokepiggyinc.com.
Oh, you did remember.
Woo! Take that, Gary. All right, Gary, go ahead. Do you and George.
Okay, so I'll do George first. So George, you can find him on Instagram at Double G Toys. George has also started a new Instagram account for his enamel pin division, so he'll help you out. He'll help you produce enamel pins if you need help. He's not going to help pay for them, but if you have the money, he'll guide you along the way. And you can find that at DXGX Pins on Instagram. Otherwise, I'm Gary Ham. You can find me at Gary Ham on Instagram or superham.com.
And I am Theresa Hawkins. If you want, find me on Instagram at TMHawk24. This has been the Marsham Toy Hour. We do this every week, not because we have to,
but because we want to.
Whoop! So until our next transmission, we are signing off.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.